Hello everyone, it's Claire and I am super happy, I don't know if I can say that, to talk about what Space Between the Notes talked. And he did a video, I will link it below. He talked about tarot, about many things, and I thought it was really interesting. And well, I love the way he's asking him questions and he's thinking about decks and tarot. And I'm just the same. I'm always asking why, and maybe I should think this, or why these people are thinking this and not me. And I like to mix ideas, and I think this type of video is a really good opportunity to mix ideas. So first, I apologize for my poor English. I've got not a perfect accent, and it's quite frustrating because when you are talking in a language that is not your mother language, you lack words to express exactly what you want to say. So I hope you will understand. Second, this is only my opinion. I think there is no truth. Well, there is a truth, but we cannot access to the truth with the big truth. So it's my truth, my own truth. This is what I'm thinking here now. Maybe I can change. Maybe in 2 years I will say something different. This is what I believe, what I feel, what I think today. Today is the perfect day for this video. During the night there was snow, and today there is this morning there is a beautiful sun. You maybe can see the outside is white, so everything is quiet. It's very cool. Before talking about all the subjects, I would like to express how I feel about tarot, about working with tarot, working with cards. For me, there are many ways of working with cards. You can do psychological work for you or with other people, and then coach them to express what's in the unconscious. To do this, you have to use cards with images that can help to express this unconscious, that can be a tool that can help to do projection. We call it projection. You project your internal world into the card. So there are some tarot that were there's one tarot developed for this for doing this, but there are lots of games you can use to do this. So for me, so this is the first way of using tarot. Then you can use also tarot to connect something quite mysterious and to have guidance, explanations about what's going on, and to help you to grow and to work on your past life. So in this magical tool, you also have the idea of you have some some ideas of what's going on in the future. So this is what most people are talking about when they're talking about tarot. So this is two ways of using the cards, and I think that when you are using it in a way, you need something maybe different than when you are using it in another way. So first question: can anybody create a deck? So a tarot deck or an oracle deck? Apparently there is a very well-known person and very bright person who thought that no, it's you need to have a sufficient knowledge to create a tarot or an oracle deck. I think it's not true. I think that creating something comes from the inside, and then you express something that is really personal. And when you express something that is very personal, you express your own vision, your own flavor, your own color, and it's really interesting. It's interesting to understand tarot when you are redoing a tarot. So it is a really good exercise to understand, and then you offer the word the way you understand the tarot. So it's a sort of process of sharing, and I do agree. I do love when we share and we offer the world who we are, what we are thinking, and what's the way we are understanding the world. So for me, everybody can create a deck, and there are some decks that are really beautiful and that I could love, but I don't get the way the person understood the tarot, or I don't like the way he's understanding it, so I don't take it. It's my choice. I don't blame the person who shared his creativity. I think it's a good thing that he took the risk to share it. So for me, it's always good to share who we are and our color. It's really in the process of being together and sharing. So for me, it's all good. There were some things about money and creating decks only to have money. For me, it's not really a question, and all the people who create decks know that you don't earn you don't earn money, you don't earn your life in creating decks. Maybe you can when you create millions of decks, but I don't think it's the decks that give money. It's more when you are doing conferences and lessons and things like that. But creating a deck is not something that makes you rich. That's my experience, though. So for me, there's no discussion about money and creating a deck. So, second question was about reading or not the books that are associated with the decks. I do like reading the books that comes with the deck. Why? Because for me, as I said before, when a creator is doing a deck and write a book, is sharing his personal view of the world, and I am really interesting in understanding the point of view of others and the way they are seeing the tarot. Even if sometimes I disagree, I'm not using what was done initially for the deck, but I think it's really interesting and nourishing for me. So I always read the book. Sometimes when it's a complicated book with many things and I don't really get the point of doing this and this, I don't read everything. Most of the time it's when it's an English book and it demands a lot of energy to understand the book. I may not read everything, but I start reading the book, and I've got the chance to understand things when only reading some part. I don't need to read everything. So when it's too complicated, I read some parts to understand the spirit, the feel of the deck and of the work of the creator. But I don't use everything of the book, and sometimes I don't use anything of the book, but I read it because I think I find it really interesting. So for me, you read the book or don't read the book, it's really personal. My personal experience is that I love reading the books because I like it's like as the author invite me for a tea in his house and explains me how he's seeing the tarot, the cards, and so I really like it, and for me it's a pleasure. If it's not a pleasure for a person and you only want to use the images to connect your intuition and your magical power, for me it's okay. You don't need to read the book. So I disagree with the space between the knots. And don't, if you don't read the book, for me it's not a disrespect of the author. It's just a way of being that is different from the author, and you don't want to read what the author wrote. Okay, it's okay for me. There are so many ways to approach the cards, and it's really personal, and I respect the way, the particular way of everyone. So for me, it's not a problem. But me, I like reading the books and penetrating the internal world of the author. And also, yes, just I wanted to add about decks. I think that some decks are more or less, some decks are well done, some decks are not that well done. When you create a deck, there's something important anyway. Even if everybody can create a deck, an oracle or a tarot, I think what is interesting, what interests me, is having a wide view of the human experience. But even if a deck is very specific, as for instance, Cecoli Tarot for me is a very specific deck that is working on a specific subject, and this deck resonates with very specific problematic. So I will use it to work on this problematic and only on this problematic. So this is how I make the difference between decks. There are some decks done by a very depressed person, and it's really interesting. They are really interesting decks. They are not bright. They are quite dark, and they help talking about the darkness inside of us, inside of the querent. So I can use it as a tool, but very specific tool. They are not universal tools as a tarot can be. They are more specific tools. So as each deck is created by a person, with a personal word, the more the person has a specific view of the life, a very focused view of the life, the more you can use the deck to work on this focus. The less it is specific, the more the people try, the author tried to do something general, the more you can work on many subjects, and you have something that is universal, on a universal deck. Now I will answer the question about collecting decks. As I am a collector, I've got many decks, many decks. Something like maybe 300. There are many aspects of collecting decks. For me, the first aspect is I love art. I love looking at art, penetrating into the paintings, and so having many decks is having many ways of expressing things, and I love having them only for this. Second part is a sort of addiction. I'm not drinking, I'm not smoking. I love receiving decks. I love looking at decks. It is sort of my weakness, my pleasure, my little pleasure. And when I feel bad, I like having a deck and looking at the deck. This is my little cigarette. And okay, it's okay for me. I know it, and it's sort of I accept this weakness. To read cards, we don't need that many decks. In fact, I always say, if you want to read tarot, buy a tarot, and you don't need 2, 3, 4, many tarots. You need only one. You can choose between. You can have one tarot, you can have one Lenormand, and then choose the system you prefer. But in fact, the cards are not magical tools at itself. It's a support. It's It's something, you've got cardboard and ink on it. It's not magical. The magic is inside, and the cards help the magic to go and to work. But not the cards are magic, so you don't need many decks. You need only one deck that suits you, that you can use easily, that you understand, that you feel good with it, because the emotional state is very important when you are doing a spread for you and also for others, and more for others. So you need to feel good, confident, and you need to feel comfortable at home with the deck. And you need to have a bond, a special bond with the deck. But you don't need many decks. You only need one, the one that suits you. So it can be a tarot, it can be an oracle, it can be a Lenormand, a keeper deck. And there is not one best than another. It's the one that suits you. And the one that suits you is the good one. I do love changing methods, mixing decks, because I love it. It gives me joy. It gives me something very special. I like also using special decks with special flavor to work on a specific subject, but I could use something else. When I use the Checoli deck to work on abuse, for instance, I could use also another deck. I could use even a Marseille deck for me. It will do the job, but I like going in the Checoli atmosphere, because it gives me joy, it gives me something special, it connects, I can connect more easily with my inner child, and so for me this is how it works. If I want to make somebody work on this subject, I think I will use the Checoli also, because you've got this sort of cruelty and sweetness inside, and that fits quite a bit, very well with the subject of infants, kids abuse and so on. But I could use another deck. I could use this one, for instance. It fits quite well to work with it. So I hope you understood what I said. It was a really great pleasure to share this. I really love sharing this experience and these feelings, and I hope that other people will also share. Maybe do it in French if I have the time, because I think it's very, very interesting. I have always, with this type of video, the impression of not having said everything, and I would prefer having real discussions. It would be much more interesting having a real discussion, but, well, it's not possible, but it's something that is really, really interesting. Thanks a lot for sharing Space Between the Notes. Bye-bye!